Thanks. So, thank you very much for the great insights. And without delay, I'll introduce the next fireside chat that we will cover both the vendor angle combined with the CISO angle. And it's my pleasure to invite my friend and colleague, Michal Braverman-Blumenstyk, and I'll have to read her title, which is not short. So, Corporate Vice President at Microsoft Corporation, General Manager of Israel Research and Development Center, CTO of Microsoft Security Division. It's like a title of 3 people. And she will talk with also a very known figure, Bret Arsenault, the Corporate Vice President and Chief Information Security Officer at Microsoft. Thank you very much, Michal. Good luck. And to make, hopefully, a very interesting discussion on the uncertainty. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me? Oh, great. So, good morning, everybody. It's really great to be here today. And it's a great pleasure for me to welcome Bret Arsenault, our CISO. We both sit in the same leadership team of the security division. And I'm really happy that we have Bret visiting us in Israel and that he joined us today for this fireside chat. Again, not really fireside, June in Israel, but still amazing event. So the first question that, without any further ado, I would like to ask you a question, Bret.
Okay.
As the CISO of Microsoft, what are your top of mind in protecting Microsoft, and what is the top, and what are the focus of your team in Microsoft?
Well, first, thank you for having me back in Israel. It's awesome to be here. I haven't had as many arguments as I have in the last few weeks. It's been a few days. It's been fantastic. I think first I should clarify, because I think people sometimes make a mistake and they assume I'm in the division at Microsoft Security Division. So I don't sell any products. I don't sell anything. I'm just like any other security officer protecting the assets of a small company based in Redmond, Washington. And so I have the same set of concerns that everyone else does. And, obviously we see, we have a little bit of intelligence and data feeds that other entities don't have. So, like we process 65 trillion events a day, and we see, password attacks doubling again last year from, 570 something per second to over 1,500 per second. We see lateral movement in less than 2 hours now, which is way down from where it was a year ago. And so as I think about protecting our own assets, and I look at the economy that's happening in this space, like we always talk about CAGR and growth and all the companies that are here represented on the floor. And the overall CAGR of cybercrime was probably like the 5th largest GDP in the world. So you're talking about a very different type of adversary. So from my perspective, that's what I think about every day, and figuring out how to sleep in that environment. I liked how Gil was commenting about riding his bike during COVID. I think that's a great thing to go do. But those are sort of the backdrop of the things we think about. And a lot of my friends will say, oh, you just protect Microsoft using Microsoft, and I run 38 different operating systems. I'm the 5th largest Mac shop in the world, behind my friend George at Apple. And so just how do we work in that, multi-cloud, multi-platform environment and protect the assets that we have, both digital and people? That's basically what I do. And I would say the things that have been most prevalent in the last 2 years for us has been obviously the increase in ransomware. I think we all are well aware of that. The thing that I get probably most concerned about, unfortunately, is a political environment, which is I'm monitoring 240 regulation changes per day globally. And so your ability to meet, attest, and operate in that environment and do that in a way that's commensurate with the entities that you support and the constituents they serve is becoming more and more complex. And then you do that in a time of the reality of recessionary headwinds, and I can't hire enough people to do the work we do. So I have this massive talent shortage. So how do I go work in that talent shortage situation with the things that we have?
Thank you, Bret. Definitely knowing exactly what you do, you have one of the toughest jobs in the world.
It's easy.
But you're doing an amazing job. And with that in mind, what can you tell us about how you prioritize when you defend Microsoft with all the things that you described that you have to worry about? What are your priorities? What are your focus areas?
That's a good question since we just went through budget reviews and what we're prioritizing. I think I always sort of, I have this, if you've met me, I'm not the brightest person in the room, but I can remember things in threes generally. And so I have these 3 H's I always talk about, which is honor the past, be honest about the present, and have hope for the future. And we all have technical debt. So I'm always balancing how much I'm dealing with technical debt and the things we have to go do in that space. What's the current situation with the tools I have to understand the threat environment? And then what are we doing to look around the corner? Like the best board question I ever had was, how do you future-proof the company? And so my balance in that scenario, if I look in the protect, detect, respond, recover scenario, like my team just asked me to double the budget in responses because we see the case volume going up by 30%. We see pull requests going up by 40%, which is our code contributions. And what I would tell you is, before I invest $1 in response, I'd rather invest 50 cents in prevention, right? Because the cost of response to an incident is 11 times the cost of preventing it in the first place. And so we're continuing to do, so for me, prioritizing this year, a lot of the things we're doing around unification of identity, because we still see identity as the major breach boundary people are going after. And then secondarily, configuration management. And my team always comes to me with these amazing ideas for these shiny objects they want to go chase, and it's important we invest in those. But the pedestrian part of the job is still the most effective part of the job. The thing that's not like patching your systems turns out is really effective. Getting multi-factor authentication implemented consistently is really important. And so I'm always balancing between those two, I'll call it the pedestrian part of the job, and the amazing, attack patterns I see the teams building and detections that they're building they're crazy good. But if I do all that, I still left the back door open, so.
Thanks, Bret. And I think that what really makes us unique is the fact, coming from the side that set the strategy and developed the product, the fact that we share so much, there was so much cooperation, and we learn a lot from your team, which is actually a typical customers of the side that developed the product. And we also eat our own dog food, so you give us amazing and very candid
I consider it an Israeli conversation. I'm very direct, but I'm very honest and respectful. But I'm very clear about where I need product capabilities and beyond that. But I think on the priorities, it's a really good point. Like we'll spend, most people I meet with my peers, most of the biggest budget rises I see this year are happening around identity, right? How to do better identity governance, how to do entitlement management, and all the things that are happening there. And I'm in the same camp, continuing to simplify and unify the identity platform. And then the Sec DevOps thing, as I mentioned, before we even talk about using things like some of the AI stuff for writing code, I'm not talking about the security of it, but just 30% of code will be written through AI. And so I'm increasing the amount of code we do by 30% per year, as an example, which means my assurance, my testing, it all has to be automated. Everything has to shift left. I can't, from threat modeling to continuous code assurance to all the things we have to go do there, it all, fundamentally in my head is, how do I help a developer fall into the pit of success? Don't let them make the mistake. They're never going to be the ultimate security experts, but how do I make sure that what they build, and again, remember, I only do things in threes, right? 3 H's and 3 D's, secure by design, secure by default, and secure in deployment, right? Because that misconfiguration is really, really painful for people. So those are my 3s and 3s. And by the way, I use some of the products right here in many third-party products, which is why I love coming here and seeing the investments and the things that are happening. So
that's the idea.
So I think so you'll see identity, code development, massive improvements that we want to go see, and the ability to automate all the code work that's happening, and not just in Microsoft Code, in all the work we're doing with open source, which is super helpful, helping hopefully the globe by scanning the top 100,000 most critical repositories, finding vulnerabilities, helping those be fixed. And then obviously, as I look at future-proofing the company, faster code, bigger threats. And so I have the AI piece of it, right, which is 2 parts of it. One, I set the standards for the company. So how do we make sure when we build products that have AI, they meet certain criteria, like secure development lifecycle for code? And then how do I leverage, as a user of AI, how do I leverage to better secure the company? I think those are probably the big future-proof things I'm working on.
Yeah, so talking about AI, I will focus on that for a second. So first of all, AI is very close to my heart. I do it for a long time. By the way, we are all doing AI, I mean, good old-fashioned AI, machine learning for a very long time. What is really new in the past in the past year is really the emergence of generative AI, specifically LLM, large language models. And generative AI is absolutely going to change the world of cybersecurity. First of all, from the side of the attackers, because they're also using that tools. So it's easy for them to create new malware very fast. Luckily, the malware that I saw generated by them is still very primitive, but don't get confused. They will get better very, very fast. On the side of the defenders, which is us, the people that develop a security solution, LLM, generative AI is a huge, huge opportunity. First of all, because it helps us to make our products much more productive. Instead of now doing I'm talking about everybody in the defense space. Instead of now having the SecOps having to do a lot of queries, they can have one simple query in natural language, and the underlying system is collecting all the information for them and give them already the recommendation. So it's making our products, and the Microsoft Security Copilot was one of the first products in this arena, is really increased the productivity. And Bret talked before about the current shortage in security professionals. And that's exactly what Security Copilot and similar product like that is going to address, because we are going to reduce the number of people that have to do the mundane work, the repetitive work, so we can focus the security professional that we have on the more interesting, on the more analytical work that we do. Another aspect that is changing is if we talk again about old-fashioned machine learning, it's amazing, old-fashioned machine learning models. We always thought that there would be attacks on AI, but there weren't so many attacks on AI. Why? Because the attackers are they're very ROI-driven. And before, in order to attack machine learning-based system, you had, as an attacker, to learn each model individually. That's not economical for them. What happened now with LLM, there are very few companies that produce the fundamental models, LLM, OpenAI, Bird of Google, and maybe one or two companies. So there are very few numbers of LLM on one hand. On the other hand, there is now going to be a tsunami of LLM-based applications that many enterprises develop. This together makes it very attractive field for the ROI seekers, attackers. So we are going to see a lot of attacks on LLM-based application. And that's why we in Microsoft have the solutions in order to protect that.
Yeah, but hold on. I'm just a practitioner. I have an issue. I'm not a marketer either, so I don't like the term artificial intelligence. I wish we just called it augmented intelligence. Anyone play chess in the room? Raise your hand if you play chess. Okay, so the chess masters today, and like I've had time with with Kasparov numerous times, the first person to play IBM Big Blue. Like, the best chess players in the world are not people on people or people against machine. It is always people with machine. And it is the ability to use these artificial intelligence to help humans be more productive, make better decisions, and be faster at what they do. And it's not, like, as a practitioner, when we first created postal systems, which every country in the world has a postal system, you have mail fraud. You create telephones, you have telco fraud. You create internet, you have internet fraud. And so the same thing, it's a powerful tool that'll be used by both people. When I think about it, it'll address it the exact same way we did everything else. is we will look at what the defenses are. We ensure we build it with transparency so people can see it. And like, again, as the practitioner side of this, to your point, there's nothing my team would love more than to eliminate tier 1 SOC so they could all do tier 2, tier 3 SOC work and hunt work. And this is where like I'll get savings, I'll get better evaluation in how the teams work. And so we'll work there, but then my most prevalent best hunters in the world will also be better, more efficient, and more effective at it. So it's one, shifting right on the tier 1 side, but it's also the shift for I'm just using the hunt as an example. There's so many places we'll use it, but every time we think there's some net new massive paradigm, there are nuances to the differences, like you said, the LLMs being less, but the models and the things we do, like for me, AI is just going to accelerate my ability to deploy all my zero trust model that I run today. That's how I'm looking. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying as a practitioner, I see it as a way to accelerate the fundamental work that everybody here is already trying to go do. It's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with your comment.
That's
and
the first time you've agreed with me.
Yeah, many times we don't agree.
Yeah.
But I do think that one thing that I don't agree is that I think it's not like every regular shift in technology. I think that the shift it's a tectonic shift. It's going to be even bigger than the shift that happened during the birth of the internet.
It will be, but it's like everything we see right now. The amplitude of the change is bigger, and the speed at which it's happening is faster. So amplitude and pace are absolutely true.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
but it's a great opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity.
Oh yeah, it's an opportunity and the challenge. By the way, challenge is a good thing. In Israel, challenge is not.
Thank you.
It's something that we like. And another thing, look, if you look about the changes, I mean, it took the internet 8 years to get to 100 million users, and it took ChatGPT 3 months. So obviously, there is order of magnitude to the change.
Yep.
Bret, what other, again, we are so focused on generative AI, what other aspects that you would want to share with us?
No, I would honestly, I know our time's up. I just wanted to say thank you for since 2000, when I first came here in 2006, we acquired our first security company. To see the changes, and I've been here 3 times since, not enough I know, but to see the changes in the entire environment, the economy around cyber, the talent that's here, the investments we've made, over 1,000 people now here working on this space. Just thank you for letting me come here, and I look forward to doing more and more business here as we go forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Bret. Always a great pleasure.